Wow, so the US women's national team have just been knocked out of the FIFA Women's World Cup by Sweden in a penalty shootout, and what a dramatic penalty shootout that was. What does this mean though for the women's game, and is it surprising? Personally, I am not shocked by this. Anyone who has watched my videos over the past few months will know that I have not backed America to win this World Cup, despite the fact that they were on for a treble of World Cups. But for a while now, I think for a couple of years, the United States women's team haven't been the best team in the world. And I just think it's a case of other teams have caught up now, and it just seems a lot more competitive. And they've struggled, haven't they, over these past few months? Go back about a year ago to when they played England, Germany and Spain in a row and lost all 3 games in a row. The warning signs were there for the US women's team, and they haven't played well at all in this World Cup. You could argue the opening match was okay, but they've scored 4 goals in this World Cup, having gone out now in the round of 16. Basically scored all of those in one match, so they just haven't been clinical enough in front of goal, width of a goalpost away of going out even in the group stages, and they've gone out today, and ironically, and fair play to the United States, this was arguably their best performance of the tournament. They were better than Sweden over the course of 90 minutes, but if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, this is what can happen. And they didn't, and it followed a set of poor penalties, it has to be said, from both teams, in a remarkable finish where it looked like the ball did or didn't cross the line. It had to go to VAR, and ultimately it was determined that the United States, for the first time I think ever, the US women's team have gone out of the World Cup before the semi-finals, and it's the start of a new era. I think this is the start of a new generation now. They've had it so good for so long, mainly because a lot of the other countries around the world just haven't invested in women's football for so long, and rightly so. The US have reaped the benefits of that because they've been the driving force behind women's football long before these other nations have. So they've done wonders for the women's game, they really have, and they've reaped the benefits for that by investing in it, by supporting it, by embracing the sport much earlier than other nations. They've been able to dominate for such a long time, but it is coming towards the end, it really is. It would be unthinkable for the United States to have lost 3 on the bounce previously, or for even the US to struggle to get out of a group at the World Cup. So it is a real changing point in this sport, and for the better. And I don't just mean that because it's the US. It genuinely, this sport now, to go to the next level, needs more competitive nations and other nations doing well. There's only one team left now who's previously won this tournament, and that's Japan, who do look strong, but I'm confident we're going to have a new champion this year, and it's only going to be fantastic for the sport. Whether that's England or not, I obviously want it to be England, but whoever is the champion now, it's going to be great for women's football, and the US will come back. When I say the things are changing, it doesn't mean the US are going to go overnight. These are still going to be, for a long time to come, the US women's national team will still be on the peak of women's football. They will still be one of the teams to beat for a long time. They'll go into every single World Cup moving forward as one of the favourites, but they're going to have more people around them that can beat them now on a regular basis, and it's how the US deal with that moving forward. I know they've come in for a lot of criticism back home for the way they've portrayed themselves on the pitch and off it after full time, people questioning their passion for the game, and I would argue in some ways I would agree with that. I've not seen the passion from the US, or they just seem to be this little bit of arrogance sometimes in the play and how they've handled themselves on the pitch. And ironically, you saw more emotion at full time than what you've seen from the US women's team throughout the whole tournament. But I just think in their defence, they've just tried to not get carried away with being ultimately going into this tournament as potential treble winning world champions or as perceived favourites. They've just tried to withdraw themselves from the good and bad of the media and the outside noise, and that's probably why they've come across in the way they have. Everyone else is caught up, but then it also a little bit feels like the US hasn't really hit the standards they should be reaching neither. You don't mind other teams catching you up because that is going to be inevitable as time goes on, as other countries invest. That's fine, but I don't think what the American fans will accept is the fact that the US have weakened or appear to not be at the same level as they have been in the past, and that I think is going to be the most difficult thing for American fans to deal with and the American team to deal with moving forward. It sums up this World Cup though perfectly. It's been the World Cup of upset, and the US women's national team going out, even though a lot of people, officially they were the favourites, but I think a lot of people still did not fancy America to win this tournament, including their own fans. I still think even their fans were a little bit apprehensive about what this World Cup may actually be like for the US women's team. The signs were there, I believe, coming into this tournament, and it's going to be interesting, even if England fail to win this tournament, it's going to be interesting to see other teams do well and reach that final and semi-final positions. But as an England fan, obviously it's great news that a heavy favourite such as the United States is out. Even though I've been arguing in this video they haven't looked the strongest, it is still so difficult to take these teams off the top spot, and it's still tight for Sweden. They played pretty poorly today, but they got over the line on penalties. But the US had plenty of chances to put them away, just didn't. So the US would have still been a threat for this tournament had they have gone through today. So I'm absolutely delighted that they're out from an England perspective. But where do the US women's team go from here? I think it's a perfect starting point for them now to start again. They need to take stock now of where their position is within this sport. It is not now the US and everyone else is trying to catch up. We've caught up. Everybody is caught up now. It's now how the US deal with that moving forward and understand that competitions aren't going to be one-sided anymore, or they're not going to be able to outmuscle, outperform, outplay teams essentially for 90 minutes. The finer margins are going to be important moving forward for the US in major tournaments, something that they haven't been used to previously. And today was an important lesson for a team that historically hasn't had to struggle. It just shows you that if you do not take your chances in more competitive matches, it will come back to bite you. I do wish the US women's national team all the best moving forward, because I do think a strong women's game is a strong American game as well. But for this World Cup in particular, it really opens the door up. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all on my next video.